Emil Kadlec here. Welcome, good evening to the Line of Scrimmage, the DFS cash game. I hesitate because we have a little GPP in there. Week 4 of the NFL season with the scholar, John Laub, and myself, Emil Kadlec. John, how you doing?
It's been a very busy day, Emil. It started around, when did I find out? Maybe 11 a.m., 11:30, that Cam Newton had tested positive from COVID-19. So it immediately made me scramble in my season-long leagues because I've been invested in Cam Newton. And I had to look on waiver wires and look to see who my backups were. I got a little lucky. Most people had not picked up Ryan Fitzpatrick, so I was able to plug him in a couple leagues. I was able to put in Baker Mayfield. I had him on a bench, so I put him in. So I got my lineups resolved with the loss of Cam Newton. And then I had to say, wow, how many Chiefs do I have? How many Patriots do I have? Because we don't know what's going to happen with that game. I wanted to make sure that my rosters, I could have starting lineups regardless of what that game, if it's played or not. So I feel really good. Then I remembered I got my sheet of knowledge. And early this morning I had posted it, and sure enough, it had Clyde Edwards-Helaire in there. It had some Patriot wide receivers, Demir Bird, N'Keal Harry. So I said I had to re-scramble. I had to post them by about 3 in the afternoon. I got brand new lineups for our readers. So I'm ready to go now. I've adjusted no matter what for DFS. We know that the Chiefs and the Patriots are off the board. So all the lineups, all of the sheet of knowledge, there are no Patriots, no Chiefs. So, so readers can go there to Football Diehards right now, check it out. But I feel pretty good. I've spent a lot of time today, and tomorrow morning I'm going to get you ready. I'll post the lineups if there's updates all morning long. If there's anything we find out, we still have Joe Mixon. Oh, I forgot to even mention Joe Mixon out there. Will he play? So I'll be on top of it for our readers. But I'm pretty good with our show. I feel great that we're going to help you put together your lineups tonight.
Fantastic. Let's go to the first view graph.
We like to begin with the Scholar's Sleepers. 3 players who I believe are underpriced, who you can have salary cost savings, who you can plug into your lineup, Emil. And I started looking at the quarterback position, and they are bunched together in price range. And then I was looking at wide receiver matchups. I know it might sound counterintuitive, but when I feel pretty good about wide receiver, it kind of makes me open my eyes about the quarterback. And what I immediately, about 2 days ago, I really kind of looked at the Detroit Saints game and realized that New Orleans has a lot of injuries in the secondary. They're missing some pass rushers, and their defense just is not as good as it has been, which led me to Kenny Golladay. Then I started looking more and more at the quarterback, Matthew Stafford, and I said to myself, wow, the Saints are 28th in DraftKings against opposing quarterbacks. So this is a defense that can be beaten. The Saints have surrendered in 3 games, 806 yards passing and 8 touchdowns. They also gave up a rushing touchdown to opposing quarterbacks. So there is fantasy goodness against this Saints defense. It's not as dominant as it has been in the last couple years. I said, Matthew Stafford's at home. He's been very consistent. 17.1, 17.1, 18.5 DraftKings points the opening 3 games. Also, I've only had Kenny Golladay last week. The first 2 games, Matthew Stafford did not have his main weapon in the wide receiver game. I said, you know what? Price here, $5,900. I'm below that $6,000 ceiling. And by the way, Emil, do you know what his ownership is by any chance? Because that's
Let's go take a look here. I should have been on that. I'm sitting here just listening to everything you say, and I didn't get the ownership up here. Then I hit the wrong button here. Let's get the right button. Stafford, huh? His ownership is...
Yeah.
This can't be... This must be a typo. 1.8%.
I thought it was low because people have not been talking about Matthew Stafford.
No.
I like this play, Emil. I believe he has up to 26 to 27 point upside. Everyone's discussing Kenny Golladay and how good he's going to perform. And if Kenny Golladay is scoring 2 touchdowns or having a huge afternoon, obviously Matthew Stafford is getting him the football. Also, we have a healthy Marvin Jones right now. TJ Hawkinson is starting to become a difference maker. If Detroit could just get this running game, we know they're playing Adrian Peterson. I would like to see the more explosive DeAndre Swift, get him out there. However, the thing I like about Swift is he was an uber pass catcher at Georgia. If Detroit could get him more involved in the passing game, and what does that tell me? Matthew Stafford has the weapons to produce a big afternoon against a New Orleans Saints defense that comes in here hurting. I like Matthew Stafford. If you're looking to save money at the quarterback position, I love Matthew Stafford here.
And it also helps just a little bit that the Lions are at home. Just a little.
Absolutely. And in general, the Saints do not play as well on the road as they do at home. Now, the advantage for New Orleans is this is a dome. So I don't think it's as big, but I agree with you. I like the Lions better at home, and I actually think they're playing a little bit better football. They went down to Arizona. They were underdogs. They upset the Cardinals. Now they come home against a team that isn't as good right now. They're not performing as well as they have in the last 2 years. They're also without Michael Thomas. So I like this as a sneaky shootout here. So I like Matthew Stafford a lot. As soon as we heard that Leonard Fournette was not going to be in this game, I had to shake off the cobwebs, get over my reluctance. I said, I got to look at Ronald Jones. I don't like the player, but this is fantasy football. I have to be open-minded all the time. He's $4,700. The bare minimum at running back is $4,000. So you are talking about a starting running back, Emil, that is $700 above the bottom that you can go. He should get the vast majority of snaps and touches in this Buccaneers offense this weekend against the Chargers. Now, maybe Bruce Arians throws us a monkey wrench, and Keyshawn Vaughn, the rookie, who we haven't even seen, I don't think, maybe somehow he gets 10 touches. I doubt it, but we can't put anything past Bruce Arians at this point. But all things normal, Ronald Jones should touch the ball at least 15 times the run game. He's had 17 the opening week against New Orleans when Leonard Fournette had just been signed by Tampa Bay. He had 7 against Carolina and 13 against Denver. So I'm looking for at least 15 touches in the ground game. He's actually been pretty consistent as a pass catcher. He's caught 2 receptions in each game, and he's had 3, 2, and 4 targets. He's only scored once this year. So to me, the key, if Ronald Jones can carry the football 15 to 17 times, maybe get 3, 4 receptions, will he get in the end zone? If he can pop into the end zone, Ronald Jones becomes a 20-point scorer in DraftKings in PPR scoring. I think the floor is 10 points and the ceiling is 20 to 22. He's only 4,700, Emil. It's not a big risk, and you can save a lot of money with Ronald Jones on your salary cap. Also, I like a sneaky play here. Play the Tampa Bay defense for correlation with the Ronald Jones. If Justin Herbert, who's looked good so far, no question about it, but he is a rookie. Justin Herbert's going on the road here to a pretty nasty defense led by Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles produces and orchestrates very good defense. He could really confuse this young man here. So I love Ronald Jones for salary cap savings, and you're going to correlate it with the Tampa Bay run defense, who might sack and might get a pick six against this young rookie. Then, at wide receiver.
Before you go on, I just want to let you know Ronald Jones's ownership is 2.9%.
That is beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would think it would go up, but we've already known. Yeah, we've already known Fournette's been out for a few days, so it's not like news. So
I mean, low. Yes, and I think people would be looking at the Buccaneers game. They like wins. They're looking for a cheap wide receiver because Chris Godwin is out. And Ronald Jones hasn't been spectacular, but he is getting double digits. I like him here. I think great wide receiver. Looking all over, there's a lot of value in the mid-round. I wanted to look at a game with a high over-under and an opportunity where there's a distinct weakness on defense. We have seen the Dallas Cowboys bludgeoned all year long by opposing quarterbacks and opposing wide receivers. 2 weeks ago, it was Matt Ryan and the Falcons. Last week, it was Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. This week, they welcome the Browns into town. This game has a very high potential as a shootout because the Dallas Cowboys defense isn't very good. And we know Dallas can score. Jarvis Landry has been a massive disappointment. That's why he is crazy value right now. He opened up the season, Emil, at 5,900. He is now 5,100. He has dipped every week. And I understand why. 11, 7.6, and 7.6 DraftKings points. He is not getting peppered with the usual amount of targets. What we've seen as fantasy footballers and NFL fans is Jarvis Landry is a volume wide receiver. He is going to get, he used to get between 8 and 11 targets a game. What he did with those could be up a 20-point ceiling, or maybe he had a nice 12-point floor, depending on the touchdowns and the yards. In this game, the matchup dictates that Cleveland attacks Dallas, especially if the game script goes against them. If Dallas jumps on them, somehow takes a 10 or 14-point lead, which that's what we want if we're playing Jarvis Landry. That means Cleveland might have to come out of their shell a little bit running the football, and they're going to have to throw. One of the best matchups on the field will be Jarvis Landry in the slot in this scenario. I think that Jarvis Landry here, with the positive matchup that he can exploit, I believe Jarvis Landry should get a season high 8 to 11 targets. I will buy 8 or 11 targets at 5,100 any week in PPR scoring. I think he can get into the end zone. He hasn't scored yet. He's never been a huge touchdown scorer, but he usually scores enough to make you happy throughout the season. I like Jarvis Landry here against Dallas. If you want some savings, Jarvis Landry's your man. Emil, how many people are on Jarvis Landry right now?
Yeah, right now his ownership is at 5.9%.
That's nice too.
That's not bad. A little higher than, he's at 5.9%. You can take it how you want, but
I mean, it's not like, it's not 2% or something, but I'll take.
Yeah, we're talking mainly cash here, but obviously we've got our ear open at all times for GPP, which comes up in a little bit. But yeah, those are great. All right, let's check out the next slide. What's that?
No, I like those if you're looking to save money and you're looking to pay up at other positions. These are all players who can help you out this week.
Fantastic. Here we go.
Our Fantastic Four. Last week, we had a very nice Fantastic Four. We had identified Austin Eckler, Russell Wilson. We had DK Metcalf, and thank God he redeemed himself with that last big bomb, so things worked out for us. But this week, I got a whole different set of players for you to build your lineup for your Fantastic Four DFS heroes. I'm going to start with, I've been thinking about this all week, Deshaun Watson at quarterback. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are interested. Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson. We used to have Mahomes, but he's out. Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Jared Goff. All of those are priced higher. Deshaun Watson is 6,600 right now, Emil. He was 6,900, 6,400, 6,500. So he's kind of in neutral at price. But it is so good that he plays the Minnesota Vikings. It is one of the best matchups right now in this early season. The Minnesota Vikings have just fallen apart in the back end of the secondary. They surrendered 43 points to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Phillip Rivers and the Colts scored 28. Last week, Ryan Tannehill and the Titans scored 31. Minnesota here is going on the road against Deshaun Watson, who has not yet had one of those, oh my God, Deshaun Watson is Superman games. We've seen that in his career. But he's had a brutal start, Emil. Kansas City on the road, almost 22 points. Tough spot for any quarterback. Kansas City's defense is underrated. They're very good. Then he played Baltimore. Hey, he scored 15.7, but Baltimore is a really, really difficult matchup. Then he goes on the road against Pittsburgh and scores 18.6. This is going to feel like a vacation playing the Minnesota Vikings defense at home. I think Watson goes over 30 here. We know he has the ceiling of over 30 points because he could easily, Emil, get 40 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown, which gives you a 10 points without any passing touchdowns or passing yardage. I love Deshaun Watson in this spot. I believe the Texans get a much-needed win. Texans need a win here, folks. They are 0-3. The Vikings are 0-3 and on the road. Put Deshaun Watson into your lineup. I absolutely love him. And one of the players that I'm surprised isn't being spoken and discussed enough in fantasy circles. And I think it's partly because the narrative coming into the season was that Darrell Henderson is not very good. He had a very poor rookie season. But I've watched him this year, Emil. He is playing exceptional football. Part of it is clearly the Rams' offensive line is blocking and producing holes. Also, Darrell Henderson went to the classroom and studied in the offseason. He looks like a brand new, confident running back in this zone blocking scheme of the Los Angeles Rams. He is running the football incredibly well. 12 carries, 81 yards 2 weeks ago. Last week, against the Bills, 20 carries, 114 yards. He has scored in each game. He is getting 3 targets in each of those games. He has scored over 20 fantasy points in back-to-back weeks. Sean McVay is really turning this offense around. It's partly because the offensive line is played much, much better football. Darrell Henderson has done his homework. Sean McVay is scheming a better scheme, and the offensive line is playing better. And guess what, everyone? They welcome in the New York Giants. And the New York Giants are not very good, if you have not noticed. Their defense against opposing running backs are surrendering 28.6 points per game in the first 3 contests. 200, 2 touchdowns on the ground. This is what I like. 16 receptions for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns to opposing running backs. The Rams get the win here. They lost a tough one to the Bills, and I'm still mad about that interference penalty. That was not a penalty, but that's for another show, another day. The Rams are going to win this football game. The Giants are bad, really bad. Without Saquon Barkley, their offense is pathetic. Darrell Henderson, I'm paying $5,800 for a starting running back who scored over 42 points the last 2 games in a perfect matchup. Absolutely love Darrell Henderson here. Wide receiver. Emil, I'm going to live in the middle price range this week. There is so much good value and positive upside here. Devontae Parker. This is his game. He's ready. The Seattle Seahawks, they're almost as bad as the Minnesota Vikings in the secondary. There's no Jamal Adams. They just got burned by the Dallas Cowboys, a young player named Cedric Wilson, let alone Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. We know Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's a gamer. Now, there's risk there because Ryan Fitzpatrick can look like, he can look like Kurt Warner one day, and he can be John Kitna the next. There's a wide range of outcomes here. But this has shootout potential on it. Devontae Parker has 10 receptions the last 2 weeks for 122 yards receiving and a touchdown. 16 and 12 DraftKings points. He's under $6,000. Emil, the Seahawks rank 32nd against opposing wide receivers. Part of it is because of the defense. The offense is scoring. They're leaving the defense on the field. The opposing quarterback has to keep up in this track meet. Love Devontae Parker here for $5,700. And finally, the last play. The matchup just screams, put him in your lineup. DJ Moore at home against the Arizona Cardinals. DJ Moore has been, kind of inconsistent. 9.4 points the first game, 23 the next, 8.5 last week. His targets have fluctuated. 9, 13, and only 4 targets last week. I think DJ Moore is in the Austin Eckler realm right now. Like, I liked him last week because I felt Eckler would get more targets and the coaching staff would make a concerted effort to get the ball in his hands. I believe the same thing happened this week in the Carolina Panthers offensive coaching staff room. How do we get the ball into DJ Moore's hands more often? We cannot leave a game where DJ Moore was only targeted 4 times. The coaching staff has to realize that that was a mistake. They need to get the ball into his hands. I believe DJ Moore will be targeted between 8 and 12 times in this game. The matchup is advantageous. We know the Cardinals can score points. and their defense can be beaten. We also know Carolina's defense is awful. That means the Cardinals are going to be putting points on the board. So DJ Moore, I love him this week. Emil, that is my fantastic four for cash game lineups. Emil, what does our ownership level look on some of these players?
Yeah, first off, Devontae has been hurt, and he seemed pretty tendered last week, even though he caught some balls. He's been off. He's off the injury report. So,
and he had 10 days to recover. That was a Thursday night game too.
Yeah, that's a very good point. DJ Moore right now is at 13.7 ownership. So, whatever that means.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Not a GPP.
Yeah, now Devontae Parker's at 10.9, so he's in the top 8 or 9 players at wide receiver. So, I like those. I really like your logic there.
Pardon? Yes, I'm okay with that. No, for cash games, I'm okay with that for a cash game.
Excellent.
What you're telling me is I can't play those two in a GPP, basically.
Yeah,
the ownership's too high.
It's a little less optimal there for those guys, which is perfect.
Yes.
All right, next slide.
And everyone, if you're watching the show, please go to footballdiehards.com. We have so much incredible DFS information, and a lot of this will help you with your regular season lineups. I became a much better weekly management of my roster and who I start when I began playing DFS and doing my research. Playing DFS has made me a better decision maker on who to put into my lineups. There's clearly a correlation because you know the league better and you know matchups better. But right now on footballdiehards.com, we have Bob's DFS 3 and Out, one of the great pieces that I read every week. We have Gary's The Shadow Knows. If you're looking for wide receivers and values, go read Gary's article. It is awesome. We have our other teammate, Justin, DFS, digging in the crates daily. Not only do I give you some sleepers here, but Justin gives you a plethora of sleepers you can choose from, usually at the lower price range. Then my Scholars DFS sheet of knowledge, it's up there right now. It has the top shelf values. It has the top shelf investments and the value plays for you. It also has a Summa and a Magna Cum Laude lineup for you to take a look at to see how I'm constructing my lineups this week. And it's updated. There's no Patriots and no Chiefs in any of the lineups or any in the plays. And finally, Kyle, every week, gives you a DFS cash game and a tournament breakdown article. All of those are up there. Go to footballdiehards.com now, my friends.
Yeah, and also we've got all the videos. You and I did the video last night on the college fantasy football, and that's up there to watch. We have Brady, who's also one of our DFS people, and they do a video show on Wednesdays, which you can, of course, catch up on with Kyle. He does that one with Kyle, and of course Brady does another one tomorrow morning on Sunday morning with me. I'm just kind of hanging out like I am here. So, so yeah, there's a lot of other content there that you can get. So it's we try hard to provide, and of course also we have our optimizer tool for DFS, which is one of the wonderful things to be able to use to help with your lineups. You can take these core things that John's giving you and put them in as fixed players, and then see what other people it puts in for you to meet your salary. So pretty darn good tools. I love those.
No, it's all. Emil had a great point. I didn't even think about it. You could put the Fantastic Four into the DFS optimizer, and then it'll build you up to 20 lineups that you can choose from around that Fantastic Four. You can do 5, 10, 20, whatever you want. That's a good idea. I forgot about that.
It's a fun one. It's a nice thing with the Fantastic Four. All right, I'm going to go to our secret GPP stuff on our cash show. We're going to sneak in some GPP. Here we go with the slide.
So, Emil, you know what? It wasn't a great week last week. We identified the Vikings and the Titans. The irony was the game was a good game to identify. The players that we put in just didn't live up to expectations, like Ryan Tannehill. He just wasn't you really wanted on the other side, you wanted the quarterback Kirk Cousins, not Ryan Tannehill. But that's going to happen. GPP contrarian stack is about taking risks. This week, I decided who is a game that has a shootout potential of over 60 points and that people aren't talking enough about. It took me a long time, and I kind of whittled it down to this matchup. The Browns at the Cowboys. Look at that over-under, Emil. 56. I love that. That's a ton.
That's like a college game.
Like I'm teaching Emil how high these over-under college games are.
I was at AT&T just a few minutes ago for my granddaughter's phone, and they had Alabama and Texas A&M, and it was midway through the third quarter, and there was like 50 some odd points had already been scored.
When I left, I think it was 45-21, Emil, before I got on with you today.
Ouch.
That's the fun part about college fantasy football, college game also. So, yes, we have a potential here. But the key to me, I need to look at this GPP contrarian stack, and I said, I've got to stay away from the players where everyone else may gravitate to. So I immediately said to myself, I'm not going to play Dak Prescott or Nick Chubb. They're the two obvious plays here and probably really high ownership. So I said, all right, if I'm not going to go Dak, that means I have to go to the other side of the field, and I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield because game script on the road as an underdog tells me that there's a good chance that Baker Mayfield will throw the ball over 35 times in this game. So I said, let me go with Baker. And he hasn't been great this year. 10.8, 16.2, and 14.3 DraftKings points. But that's why he's only 5,800, my friend. He's underperformed from a fantasy aspect. Now, they're winning, so the coaching staff is happy. Fantasy fans are not as happy. But I'm also playing Baker in my season-long leagues. I do like this matchup. So I like Baker Mayfield here. And Emil, what's his ownership look like?
Are you sitting down?
I am, my friend.
1.35%. That's pretty low.
That is unbelievable. If Baker could get in a shootout with Dak, he has 3 touchdown upside. And we know Baker can run a little bit. So I like that. I mean, we're taking a risk here, but you can't go Dak Prescott in a GPP. Too many people are. Here's a better question. Emil, how many people are going to own Dak Prescott approximately on this?
Well, it's at 9.9%. He's the fourth quarterback owned, 9.9%.
Yeah, I want to get off of that, right? I want to get away from that 10%. So I'll go Baker on the other side. And I said to myself, I'm not going Nick Chubb. I'm going to go all or nothing. If Baker throws 3 touchdowns, he's going to throw them to Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. Look, if maybe Kareem Hunt gets one, I get it. If you want to play Kareem Hunt, you could make that argument here. But Kareem Hunt, people are on him, especially in this type of game script, when they should be playing from behind. So Odell and Jarvis, we've seen the Falcons and the Seahawks absolutely eat up the Dallas secondary. Look at what Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf did last week. The week before, what Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley did against Dallas. Now, if Julio caught that touchdown pass from Russell Gage, the numbers would have looked a lot better. But when you look at Odell and Jarvis Landry, if I believe, and for GPP, I got to believe this, Baker throws 3 touchdowns. I want those targets and those touchdowns to go to Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. Now, Odell has the huge upside. We know what he can do. His best performance of the year is 17.4 points earlier against Cincinnati. But he could easily score 2 touchdowns. Then he's at 23.4. He also hasn't gone over 100 yards yet. We know Odell has that in his range of outcomes. We talked about Jarvis Landry earlier in the show as a real nice sleeper. So, Emil, what does the ownership on Odell and Jarvis look like here?
All right. Odell is 7%.
Not bad.
And Landry is 5.9.
That's not too bad for my quarterback, I think. Yeah, I can live. I want to be under 10%. Ideally, under 5 would be amazing, but I can take that and build around it, especially with Baker Mayfield at 1%. So I like that a lot. And I said, I'm not going to do Zeke Elliott here. 1, I don't think Zeke Elliott is playing all that well. And 2, I think people are going to be on Zeke. Do you have the Zeke ownership there, Emil?
Yes.
What is Zeke?
Zeke Elliott is the number 1 owned running back at 22.6%.
So you got to get off Zeke. So I was right. Get away from Zeke. And I said to myself, let me dip into the Dallas passing game. But I'm not going to go Amari or Gallup. I believe those are going to be the 2 higher owned. So I said, people are probably going to shy away from CeeDee Lamb because of last week. Coming off that big game, he only had 65 yards and 5 receptions, but he had 7 targets. Patrick Wilson got a little bit lucky. He got 2 touchdowns off crossing patterns where he gained separation and there was not a safety in the picture. And Cedric Wilson scored. I don't expect Cedric to score 2 touchdowns again. Hey, he might, but I just don't think he will. So I said, let me pivot to CeeDee Lamb because I like the 7 and the 9 targets the last 2 weeks. So that's 16 targets. Emil, CeeDee Lamb hasn't scored a touchdown yet. The rookie's going to get a touchdown within the next 2 weeks. I like him here, 5,400. What is his ownership compared to the other 2, my friend?
Yes, CeeDee Lamb is at 6.4%. And Cooper is at 13, and Gallup is at 5.
Interesting. So you could pivot to Gallup, but I also like CeeDee Lamb in the matchup because Gallup was so good last week. I think the Browns will focus more attention on stopping him. But you could make that pivot.
Yeah, Gallup, you're going to pay another $800 DraftKings money to get him.
I even think you're right. Oh, wow. Gallup 6,200, CeeDee Lamb is 50. That's a big savings.
Yeah, that's a decent.
Yeah, so I like that. I'll stay with CeeDee Lamb there. I said, who's a cheap piece? I can't take a tight end in Cleveland. There's no one I like. So I said, let me look at Dalton Schultz. Without oh my God, who got Blake Jarwin, with him being out for the year, Dalton showed the yeoman's work and snapped. 2 weeks ago, he had 10 targets. Last week, still had 6 targets. Now, the difference was he didn't score like he did the week before. But on his 4 receptions, Dalton Schultz averaged 12 yards a catch last week. So they are going to use Dalton Schultz in this passing game. He's only 4,300. So I said, let me go to that. If Dak throws 3 or 4 touchdowns, which is clearly possible in this game, let me get 2. 1 to CeeDee Lamb, 1 to Dalton Schultz. I'll pivot here. What I also like, Emil, the salary isn't that expensive. Look at that. $26,400 for the remaining 4 positions. I have $5,900, so you can choose 3 running backs because 1 is a flex, and you can choose your defense. And we know defense you can spend under $30. most weeks. So there's a lot of room for your salary cap here to build around this GPP contrarian stack. And Emil just mentioned something that I forgot. I should have mentioned it in previous shows. Go to the optimizer, type in these 5 players, and let the optimizer build some options around this GPP stack to see which one you like the best.
Also, Schultz's ownership is 4.3%. Now, let me ask you another question. I want to put our faces on here for a little bit, but I also want to watch people. You've got 3 players there, from the same team. Is that typical when you're trying to win a GPP? What's the strategy about how many players you use in from a team that you think is going to go off?
So if you really want, you could do 4. I've seen it successful. I personally don't like that. But like in 2013 when Peyton Manning was going off, there were people who would put Peyton Manning, Demaryius Thomas, Wes Welker, and Julius Thomas, right? I mean, because you were talking about the most proficient passing game in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, they went nuts, so that makes sense. And, obviously Dak Prescott's done well. He is moving the ball around to other people, so, that kind of makes sense.
So let me see here. Let me see how many. I think the numbers are pretty. Oh, my God. 472 and 450 yards passing the last 2 weeks for Dak Prescott. I knew they were silly. The problem is because Russell Wilson's playing so good and the Cowboys lost, I think Dak's kind of going under the radar. But if you're going to throw for 400 yards, I mean, 3 in a row, wow. But let's say he throws for 350. You can take 2 receivers in that, Emil. Yes, you could.
Okay. I don't play a lot of GPP. I play a lot of cash. Oh, by the way, I probably should have mentioned it at the beginning of the show. I put my one lineup in this week, and it's my first week. I actually played week 3. And I put $1 in on a double up. And, of course, with your support here and all your predictions, I ended up winning $1 and getting $2, and I was like 5th out of 39. But it was all those things went well. As a matter of fact, I snuck in at Drew Sample, my lovely Drew Samples, who just toasted me. And I also had Deontay Johnson. I snuck him in there. He toasted me, and I still finished 5th because of all those other players did so well. That's why I kind of like doubling up. Until I get a little better at things, I like the double up.
Yeah, it's a great way to learn, my friend. And my Fantastic Four was in my Summa Cum Laude lineup, and I cashed big time in that one.
Good.
Unfortunately, my Magna Cum Laude lineup didn't do as good last week. It's the first time all year it didn't hit the cash line. So I've had 6 lineups on footballdiehards.com. 5 of the 6 have cashed. Doing really well. I forgot. I had Ryan Tannehill, I think, in the other lineup, and I had another bust. It might have had
Tannehill played well. He just didn't throw. They ran the touchdowns in. So sometimes
and when happen. And so many people. I had Russell Wilson in the first lineup, and so many people also had the Dak. So that kind of, when you have 2 quarterbacks like that and you don't have one of them in the lineups, that kind of hurts you a little. But hey, you know what? I'll take 5 out of 6 the rest of the year, Emil.
Yeah,
I'll be really happy.
Well, this is great. I can't wait to get my lineups in here in a little. I'm going to probably try and do it again tonight because sometimes when I get in the morning, next thing I know, the games start because a lot of things are happening. But, this is great. This is fantastic advice. And it's going to be an exciting week. Hopefully this coronavirus won't cause too many more issues. But it's starting to – this week has been a tough one.
Been a very tough one. Emil, here's a good thought. I don't know what's better now. Is it my season long are tough, but COVID and losing these games and players, but then we're losing great players in DFS. So I'm not sure which one's harder, but I'm working at both, the season long, the day, and the DFS. But it's a lot of work. But you know what? Keeps me busy, and it's a labor of love.
I haven't checked my lineup yet. I'll do it later tonight. But I actually have one league. I did this in one league. I think it's a Yahoo 10-team league. You won't believe what I did.
Yeah, yeah.
I got Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. I just decided to try to see what it would do. And, of course, this week I get to start Lamar Jackson because Patrick is a Monday night or Tuesday night or some other time.
Yeah, we hope. Yes, yes.
Crazy.
Oh, Patrick too, so that hurts.
Yes. All right, sir. Fantastic. Great show. I appreciate everything. Good luck tomorrow.
And good luck to all our viewers, and thank you, Emil, for having me on.